Right, everybody, welcome. I'm Tanya Smith, and tonight on Get Noticed with Video Live, we're going to talk a little bit about streaming music into your live stream. So, if you are someone who has been doing live stream videos and you were like, hey, how do people really add this music stuff and other sound effects, and all kinds of things to their live videos? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to actually share with you some of the little known resources that I've been able to kind of gather up and collect as to where you can find music that won't get you banned and that doesn't sound like your 5-year-old made it. So we're going to do that. I'm also right now broadcasting live on Instagram at the same time as I am broadcasting on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and multiple places in Facebook. Let me just say hello really quick to my Video VIPs community on Facebook and let you know that I love you and I appreciate you for always showing up. If you do have questions, if there's anything you want to know about as we talk about tonight's topic, don't hesitate. Do not hesitate to say hello and put your comment in the chat. And you can do so as well on Instagram Live if you're there. All right, so here's what I'm going to do right now. Yes, good evening, Virginia Jen. What I'm going to do right now is give you a few minutes to go and get yourself a sip of water while I also collect my thoughts and get ready to talk about tonight's topic. Again, we're going to talk about how to add music to your streaming videos, to your live videos, okay? And I'm going to give you some resources that you can use to do just that. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, again, welcome. It's Thursday night, and we know what that means. It means we're on live with Get Noticed with Video, our next live episode. And so I love, I get passionate about talking to coaches, consultants, course creators about using on-camera content to serve more people and to sell more of your services. So that's why we're here tonight, is to give you a simple tip or strategy or even a tool. I'm going to give you several tools tonight that will help you to deliver more fantastic, amazing on-camera content. I love live streaming, but some of the folks in my community actually like to do pre-recorded videos as well. So tonight I want to tell you we're going to focus primarily on live streaming because I'm going to share some tips with you on resources, little known resources you can look into to add music to your live stream video. So for those of you who are watching on Instagram Live, just to give you a heads up, you won't be able to hear some of the things that I'm going to be sharing through my computer system because I'm doing it through the computer system and not through the phone. But for those of you who are joining me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever else you may be, you will be able to see any demos that I share as well as to hear directly. So if you're on Instagram and you want to move over, feel free to join us. The best way to get to the space that you like to play in the most, if it's not Instagram, would be to go to Tanya.video/links. Tanya.video/links. It will take you to a list of all my social platforms where I play and hang out on live stream. And it'll share with you as well a quick access to a quiz that I share with people to find out if you're video ready. So I'm going to say hello because I see a couple of folks in here that are wonderful community members. Natasha Allen, good to see you, lady. And then Virginia Jen, it's wonderful to see you. Great day to you as well. If you're inside the group and I cannot see your face and your name to acknowledge you, it may be because you haven't given Restream permission just yet. So I'm going to say hello anyway, and just know that I'm here with you live. So if you have questions or comments, or there's anything that you want me to know and to try to respond to while we're here, feel free to put that into the comments. Hi, Irene. Awesome sauce. We're going to dive right into this topic because I have several resources I want to share with you. Usually I like to share 3 specific tips or strategies or tools. Tonight I've got several that I want to share with you in terms of resources. But I felt like I would not do this topic justice if I didn't give you the answer to this question, which I need to answer every single time I talk about anything related to video content. The answer, or the question first, let's start there. The question is, why should I care? Like, why does this even matter to me? Why should I even think about using audio or using any type of music in my live streaming videos? And so I'm going to share a couple of thoughts with you on that, and see if any of this resonates with you, because maybe you haven't thought about it before. And frankly, I don't use a lot of music other than my intro and outro videos because I aim to keep things simple. I like to keep things simple as a solo service provider, as someone who is juggling an abundance of things. I'm starting to actually build out my team. Woo, finally. But I tend to try to keep things as simple as possible because ultimately the goal is not to become overwhelmed, but to leverage my business to enjoy life more. And if you're in that category too, I want you to put a fire emoji in the comments if that feels right for you as well. So if that is the thing that you're looking for simplicity and things being uncomplicated, then absolutely you're in the right place. So I will tell you, because of that approach that I have to my business, I do not add a bunch of complicated things, but I do like to enhance content, right? And I do like to be entertaining at some level. And as an introvert, I am not a comedian. I am not someone who dances and sings and all those other things, but I can do tech and I can share tips and strategies, and I can educate and influence and empower people through the content that I share. So one of the ways to actually up level the game when it comes to video is by adding things such as music, right? Or media, or screen sharing your slides, or any of those types of things. So I would say to you, if you're thinking about adding music, there could be a couple of different reasons. Sometimes we call them use cases, right? A couple of different reasons why you might want to add music to your videos other than your intro and outro. But you got to be really careful, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I won't dive deeply because I don't want to pretend or try to even over sell myself as someone who has a legal background in the copyright space. So we're going to touch on that topic because it's important for you to know as a coach, consultant, or course creator. It's important for you to know what you need to look into as you're using other media that is not created and owned by you inside of your commercial, your business content. Okay. So why is music relevant to service providers? Does it even matter? Why would you even think about it? Well, music can create a better flow or pace. It can be great for transitioning from one topic to the next. So for instance, if you are transitioning from like let's say a really fun and exciting topic to something that's a little more serious. I mean, you've seen it in the movies, right? And on TV dramas and other types of media where music helps to kind of create that flow, and it enhances the communication. It enhances what you're sharing as far as the content. So it can certainly do that. It can also add to the ambiance of your videos when you have a little music, right? Now, some use cases, some reasons why I've seen music work or places where I've seen it work. Certainly within your intro and outro videos, right? I use it in my intros and in my outros. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story about something that actually got my videos pulled, and I didn't know why, but it happened to be the music, and I'll share with you a little bit about that. But intros and outros, definitely you can use music within those spaces. But maybe you are someone who is hosting a Zoom conference. So maybe you have this multi-day conference or workshop or something that you're training other people, right, with. And in the space of that time, you find that there are break periods and breakout rooms and other things that you want to do, or maybe you have a timer where you're allowing people to go to lunch and then come back. And so I've seen music used effectively to help people to, have a little bit of a rest break or get excited and pumped up and ready for the conference or the workshop, or even to bring them back, like to get them back to the room. So Music can be used in a lot of effective ways when it comes to your live videos. The question is, and this is what you want to really think about for yourself, how will you use it? Do you want to use it? Do you need to use it? Will it help you? Because if it becomes a hindrance or something that is a yet another thing you got to add to your live stream juggle, then it's going to be a roadblock. And what we want to do, especially when it comes to on-camera content, is to create as few roadblocks as possible. The goal is for you to do more on-camera content, not less. So if you're struggling, if you're listening to this and you're like, I really don't know if I want to add one more thing, that's really okay. But I want to give you options and to share with you some ideas to think about in case music may be a benefit to you and to your show or series. So let's talk a little bit about this in terms of what you want to make sure that you watch for. First of all, you want to make sure that your music has good quality sound and appeal to your audience. Now, when I talk about good quality sound and appeal, for me, there are a couple of things I have to think about when I'm thinking, for instance, about creating an intro or an outro video, because again, that's most often when I use music. One of the things that I consider is my personality, right? So I probably would not have a lot of heavy metal. I probably would not have a lot of like really heavy pop or modern pop, as you call it, right? In my music. I like jazz and I like, I like a nice beat, but I like it to be mellow, not anything that's too upbeat, not anything that's going to be like punk rock or synthesizer. That's just not me. But if I were playing that type of music, right, people may assume something different about my brand. So when you're thinking about music, think about a choice that's going to enhance and complement who you are and what you're presenting in terms of content. As far as the good quality sound, one of the things I talked about in the description is you don't want it to sound like your 5-year-old made it. I mean, all of us have had at some point one of those home synthesizer keyboards. I know we have one where the kids are just like banging on keys and it doesn't really sound like music. It just kind of sounds like somebody's banging on keys. So you don't want that type of music to bring down the quality and professionalism of your video show. It's just not a good idea. So that's what I mean when I say you want to be looking for music and sounds that will complement your brand and give you that professional street cred, right? Versus, hey, this person just made this up or they bought it on a cheap sound site. So the other thing I want to share with you is that you want it to be safe and appropriate to use, meaning that you want to be careful that you're not violating any type of copyrights. You're not infringing on someone else's right to be able to share the music and be paid for it. What I often see, and actually I haven't seen it as much as I used to when people really started getting into doing videos and live streaming and Zooms and that type of thing. There were folks who were just uneducated and just didn't know any better, and they were using copywritten music that is owned by someone else and created by someone else in all kinds of different videos. What happens when you do that, and especially if you're doing a live stream video, so you're live streaming to a spot like YouTube or Facebook, even Instagram, if you're doing that without permission, without the appropriate permissions, what can happen is your video can be pulled. It can be muted at the point where you're playing the music. You could be banned. Your account could be banned for a significant amount of time. So all of these things could be potential consequences of you not getting the appropriate permissions or not using music that has the appropriate permissions for you to use it. Again, not going to sit here and try to give you any type of legal jargon. What I will say is that you certainly will want to research whatever platform you're going to be sharing the music on, and you want to research wherever you're pulling the source of the music, right? And make sure that you are within your rights to be able to share it in your content, inside of your live stream, since we're talking about streaming, your streaming video content, okay? Now, we're not talking about sites like TikTok and Snapchat and Reels and those type of things where they have Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. They have designated a music library that you can pull from for your very super short clips, right? Your 30-second clips. What I'm talking about is if you're doing a YouTube live or a Facebook live and it's going to be, 15, 20 more minutes, and you're using music throughout or even music in the beginning or the end, because that's my story. Let me share a little bit about that with you. I had created an introduction video last year, probably maybe 20 seconds, maybe 15 seconds, somewhere around there. And I had been using this for almost every video that I did that was live, probably for almost, I don't know, 2 to 3 months for this period where I created the new intro. And I think it was InVideo was the site that I used to design my introductory video. All of a sudden, like out of the blue, a couple months had passed and I've been using this same introduction. Couple months passed and I started seeing my videos disappear. Like they were missing. They were no longer on Facebook. And I was like, what is going on? This is the case of the disappearing content and nobody's giving me any answers. And I don't know if you have ever tried to go and ask Facebook support or anybody's support for that matter for any of the social media platforms. It can be grueling. It can be frustrating to try to find out the answer to why. Why did you remove my content? Why am I banned? Why am I blocked? Or why whatever, right? And so my content was missing and nobody was giving me any answers. And then something made me take a look at my intro video. And I went and I actually delivered a live stream video without my intro and my outro video. And then boom, all of a sudden it was visible again. So then I had to narrow down by going back to InVideo where I designed the intro and the outro to ask them, hey, I think I've been pinged by, the music folks, the music popo on Facebook, and they're taking down my live stream due to the intro video or the outro video. I wasn't sure which one that I created. So I had to do all this testing, and it took me about a good 2 weeks to try to finally figure out that it was the music clip that InVideo had said was copyright free and we had permission to use it. So I had to go through this whole process to either remove my intro video, because that's what it turned out to be, remove the music from that and switch it up to something else. And for the previous videos that were missing, I had to go back and either re-record them or edit out the intro in order for them to show up. So it was a nightmare. And I'm sharing that with you to say, you really want to be watching for that. When you use music and any other type of audio effects inside of your live stream video content, you want to be sure that you have permission. And you probably want to test it out. Because had I tested it out, and actually, again, I had been using the same thing for a couple months and it was fine. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. If you ever run into that scenario where something is just, your content starts missing, it just disappears, check your music, check and see if there's any other type of content that you've added, any media that you've added to your video that's not yours, and see if that might be the culprit. Is that what it is that got your stuff taken down? So I say all that to say that you definitely want to be looking for copyright friendly, royalty free music spots and sources if you're going to be adding audio, some other type of audio other than you talking or your guest talking to your videos. You want to definitely be watching for that. Now, I am going to take questions towards the end. So if you have questions that you're thinking of as we're talking, make sure you pop those into the comments because I am here with you live. I'm also here with you on Instagram as well. I'm going to show you a couple of things here in a minute. The only other thing I want to mention before I show you the resources, because that's why you're here. You want to know about the little known resources for finding music to put into your live stream. You need to have some type of mixer for your audio. If you're going to be using music in your live stream video, what do I mean by a mixer? So what happens when you are live streaming, say on StreamYard or Restream or any of those type of platforms, what's happening is typically there's one audio source from you, meaning your microphone, right? Your microphone is what's being pulled in. So if you have yourself talking being pulled in, right, that's your microphone input. And then now you've decided you want to add music. That's another track. That's another audio track. Okay. So what you're trying to do when you are using a live stream is you need to be able to combine your self-talking along with the audio, the second audio track, which is your music. Now, what I'm seeing is that StreamYard and Restream are starting to get smart about this. Specifically, Restream introduced a new feature that I'm going to share with you in a minute. They introduced a new feature that I thought was really cool because it doesn't require you to go out and buy a fancy mixer. Mixers can either be hardware, meaning that it's like a physical device that you're purchasing. So some people purchase the Rode, I can't think of what it's called. It may be the Rode Podcaster Pro. I have to get the exact name of it, but I don't have one because I didn't want one. I didn't want to have to mess with all of that. But if you're really going to be using multiple types of audio feeds, and let's say you're, for instance, broadcasting from Clubhouse into your live stream and all these other things, it may be worth it to you to invest in hardware for your mixer. But then there's also software apps that you can use as a mixer. So one of the software apps that I'm going to mention to you right now, let me see if I can type that in because I want to make sure you get it right in case you're thinking about this. Oh, yeah. Bridget, yeah, I'm going to get to that in just a second. Absolutely. So she has some ideas. One of them is a link that I'm going to be sharing with you in a minute. So Voice Meter Banana, okay, is one of these software mixers that you could use. I'm going to type that here so that you can see what I'm writing. Voice Meter, and you want the banana version. That is a software that you can install. It is free. And you can add that actually to your Windows PC. I'm not sure about Mac, but I think Mac may have it available as well. If somebody's in the audience and you know for a fact, put that in here because I want to know. But I use a PC for all of my live streaming. So Voice Meter Banana is a software app that you can install into your computer. And again, I'm not going to get too technical, but I'm telling you, if you're trying to combine your own voice on top of other tracks like the music, then you need some type of mixer to do that for the most part when it comes to these third-party platforms. So inside of Restream, I don't need Voice Meter anymore if I want to use their new feature. Let me show you what this feature is. I hope I may have to do a little screenshot of it and then share it with you, but there's a new feature on Restream. It's called Add Source. It's called Add Source. In fact, let me do a real quick screen capture. And then I'm going to point this little doozy out. I'm going to circle it and then I'm going to point it out and put it on screen share so you can see this because it is brand spanking new, like within the last week or so. In fact, I happened upon it when I did last week's live stream and I was already going to be talking about audio anyway. So I thought, how handy. How handy is this? So here's what I'm going to do. Let me pop this up for you so that you can see this with me. It's in my dashboard right now, but I'm going to do a screen share so that you can see it. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, etc., you'll see it there. Okay, so let's blow that up. Okay, I'm going to blow this up so you can really see it. So right here, there's a new button. See this new button? And when you click on this button, what's going to happen is what I can see behind the scenes is, let me do this. I see that it says choose the source type. So I can choose either a local video, I can choose what's called an RTMP. Disregard that if you don't know what that is right now. But here's what you want to know. You can choose background music, and it's in beta. So they allow you to choose background music. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen, my visual screen, and I'm actually going to show you how this music sounds. So we're going to experiment with it. I'll tell you, I played with it already once and I was not, well, I'm not going to tell you my opinion yet, but I'm going to pop it up. So while I'm talking, you should hear some music. Do you hear that? This is their chill channel. Let me see if I can find something that's a little louder. So this is background music that has been built into Restream. They have a library now of music that you can add to your stream from within their library, and you don't need to buy a mixer or have any extra software or anything like that. You can just simply use theirs. Now, a couple of things. I will go ahead and tell you my opinion. I think they have some work to do on this because I'm going to tell you, this is hip hop. This is the hip hop channel. I'm going to be really quiet so you can hear it. It sounds so tiny, like you can barely hear it. Now, I know that the goal is that you don't want your music to overwhelm your voice. I get it. But you kind of want it, if it's going to enhance, you want a little bit more beat. And I'm not quite getting that here. So I like that they're heading in that direction and that they're starting to add things like this to make it simpler for you if you're trying to use, complimentary music for your stream. But they got a little more work to do. We need a little more audio boost or something and more options, because the options, you heard the hip hop, it was not anywhere near hip hop. It just wasn't. So here's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to actually do, I'm going to show you what I've done. So I purchased an Elgato Wave 3. I'm going to show it to you right now on camera if I can. So this is the Elgato Wave 3. So for you on Instagram, here it is. For you everywhere else, here it is. Now, the reason why I bought this microphone is because I wanted to experiment with the software that comes with it. It's called WaveLink. If you have an Elgato Wave 1 microphone or you have the Wave 3, this software should be applicable. It should apply to either one of those microphones. Now, the cool thing about WaveLink software, you can only use it with the Elgato WaveLink mic or Wave mic. You can only use it with their product. But what's really cool is you don't have to buy it. It's not extra. You just are able to install the software. The second thing that's cool about it is it does all the things I was just telling you that a physical, like the ones that you purchase, a mixer will do, or the voice meter software that I mentioned will do. It will do this in the WaveLink software. So I'm going to show you what this looks like right now. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see it. And if you do have questions, again, feel free to put that in here for me so that I can acknowledge. All right, so here we go. This is, let me take this down. So this is what it looks like. So you can hear me talking, and you can also see the bars moving. And when I play music, I have this music actually connected to my Spotify app. So I have a Spotify app. Now, remember I talked about the whole copyright-free music. So this is going to be where I'm going to share with you the resources, okay? I also have this connected to my browser, so it can pull music from my Chrome browser. And then I have a couple of other things that I have it connected to that I'm experimenting with. But the number one thing I want you to know is that this software actually comes with the Elgato Wave 3 and Wave 1 microphones. And that way you're not required to purchase any other type of mixer software or hardware. You can simply just use this. So here's what it does, and I'm going to just pull this back down. What you're going to see when I test this out in a second is how much louder and more vibrant the music can sound, okay? And then I'm going to give you a couple of different places besides the Spotify app, which, by the way, if I were trying to use Spotify strictly from my browser without any mixers, no WaveLink, no nothing, you're not going to be able to hear your music coming through your stream. So let me give you that caveat and tell you that now. The only reason why my Spotify app is about to work is because I have that WaveLink set up. So I'm going to play, I'm just going to play this song called Keyboard Warrior. On Spotify, there are copyright-free playlists. So that's the first thing I want to share with you. Is on Spotify, for instance, there is a playlist called Stream Beats. So let me type this into, or put this in on screen. Streambeats.com is one of the sources where you can find royalty-free music. And as a matter of fact, when you go to the website, when you go to streambeats.com, you'll see copyright-free music for Twitch streamers and YouTubers. Okay. And it'll say listen or create. So you see options for music that is royalty free. You won't have to worry about it being pulled or banning your video content or banning your profile for that matter. Streambeats.com. So streambeats.com also has a Stream Beats playlist built inside of Spotify, which I'm going to play for you now while we're actually doing this video. So let's see if we can get this to pull up. Let me make sure I have my Wavelink up. So I've got my Wavelink software that I showed you just a little bit ago, and I'm going to turn it down a little bit because it can get super loud. So notice how it is coming through, and I'm going to turn it up really loud so it's about equivalent or maybe even louder than my own voice. So now you can kind of hear the music is playing at the same time as I'm talking. I am using the Stream Beats playlist in Spotify, which is royalty-free, copyright-friendly, and I am using that within the software that I just told you about, the Wavelink software. So I've got it connected to the music in Spotify. Now, if I were to, let's say if I were to try to just play some Beyonce or play Cameo, I've got a bunch of playlists up right now. Steely Dan, I love Steely Dan. If I were to do that, my whole video could get shut down in multiple places right now. So that's why you want to be careful that you're only using approved and appropriate content. So I'm pulling from an approved, pre-approved, ready to go Spotify playlist. If you type in copyright-free music in Spotify, you'll see some other playlists as well that you can kind of experiment with. The ones that I know are in Spotify include copyright-free music. There is a playlist called that. Stream Beats. And then another one is Audio Library Plus. Now, Audio Library Plus is yet another, I didn't put that one in here, but I'll tell you, Audio Library Plus, I think it's .com, is a site where you can also go and you can upgrade to their premium level and get even more options, but they have some limited options for music inside of their Spotify playlist. So if, again, you're just trying to keep it simple and you just need a few to enhance your live stream videos, it's not like the music itself is going to be at the center of what you're doing. I think just starting out with these non-subscription required options will be helpful. So the ones I mentioned, again, were inside of Spotify. There's several copyright friendly and royalty free playlists. Stream Beats EDM is the one that I'm actually showing, or that I was playing just a few minutes ago. I'll play it again so you can kind of see. So you should be able to hear it right now while I'm speaking, and I can turn it down and just have it a little lower, or I can turn it all the way up, right? So there's lots and lots of different options when you use that mixer software to pull in the music while you're speaking. Now, I've given you a couple of different resources. Let me share the other ones with you. And Bridget actually put a couple of them in there, or put one in there, I know for a fact. So these are two sites that you may not even know exist, but they're built right inside of your platforms, your YouTube and your Facebook. So YouTube has an actual library. If you go to youtube.com/audio library, they have a list of approved, pre-approved, ready to go music sources. You can pull from any of that music. Is it my favorite? No. But you know it's approved and it's not going to get you banned and you can use it. So you may want to kind of siphon through that and see if there's anything that you want to use for the different projects that you're going to be facilitating. The other one, so that's YouTube's. Here's Facebook. Facebook has one called facebook.com/sound collection. So you can see this on screen. I've typed it out for you if you're looking for this as well. Facebook.com/sound/collection is another place you can go for audio resources that won't get you banned. Now, are they high quality? Again, the ones that are built inside of YouTube and Facebook, at least you know they're approved and you're not going to get your videos won't disappear like mine did, right? So those are approved, pre-approved, ready to go libraries and sound collections that you could look through. So I've given you Spotify. We've talked about Restream having an option now that's built in. We've talked about Facebook and YouTube. Let me give you a couple of other ones. Stream Beats was one I mentioned as well, but I use the Stream Beats playlist inside of Spotify. Artlist.io is yet another one. Now, Artlist, and I'm going to see if I can pull that up real quick and show you their website. They do have plans that you must subscribe for. So here's the thing. The next couple that I'm going to give you, artlist.io, and the other one is epidemicsound.com. Let me pop that up. These two are very similar in that they require a paid subscription, usually about $300 a year. So $299 a year. I think that Artlist has a lesser one where you're not including sound effects, but they just give you music options that you are able to go and pull from. I don't know that it's necessary for you to have those type of subscriptions at that fee unless you really truly are going to be using music regularly and consistently in your videos. So you really want to think about that before you invest. Do you need it? For what purpose are you using the music? How is the music enhancing the content that you're sharing in your live stream videos? You can answer that for yourself. I can't answer for you. Personally, I do not have a subscription because I'm not using music that frequently in any of my videos, at least not at this time. But if I were, I would probably use epidemicsound.com first, or I might check out artlist.io. Now, there's a final site that I'll share with you before we get ready to wrap, and that one is called pretzel.rocks. So Pretzel Rocks is yet another, and I'm going to pull this up so you can actually see this. Let me do a quick screen share here. So here's Pretzel, and it has what they call stations. When you first sign into Pretzel Rocks, what you're going to see is a button that says, do you want to make sure we're YouTube friendly? Like, because they have other types of music that may not be sufficient enough for the rights for YouTube to use. But a lot of streamers and gamers use this channel, use this app. Okay. So you can kind of see similarly to the Spotify account that I have that it opens up inside your browser and it has different stations. What I did is I said, yeah, let me click on the button that says, I only want YouTube friendly music, right? So these are all stations. And once again, they're connected to my Wave Link software so that if I want to stream them into my live stream, you can hear that. You can hear me talking and you can hear the music in my live stream. I know this may sound a little complicated, and what I want you to think about again is, why do I want to use music? At what point? Do I just want it for my intros and outros? Do I want it throughout? Am I using it for a Zoom conference or meeting? Am I trying to, use it behind a workshop or a game that I'm playing with people in a conference call that's being streamed, right? Beyond just the small group. If you're doing those things, you may want to consider one of the subscription channels that I'm talking about if it's going to be frequent. But if not, you can certainly use some of the sources that I talked about that are non-subscription, that are easy to use, but you just have to think about, how am I going to combine this so that it can be heard, so that the music and my voice can be heard during my stream. So I'm going to check real quick and see what kind of questions we have, because again, this can be a little bit of a technical topic, but I felt like there were enough people asking that I needed to cover it. So I'm going in here. Let's see. Wow, there's lots of comments. I'm happy you brought it up. Thank you, Julius. Yes. And he says, truth. Yes. No one talks much about copyright and infringements. And here's the thing. You have to be careful of infringing upon other creators' rights. You, as a course creator, coach, or consultant, you don't want anyone taking accountability and taking, you don't want anybody taking the content that you've created, you worked so hard for, you've invested your time and hard blood, sweat, and tears, hard work into, and claiming it to be theirs. So you don't want to do that to other people who have created this awesome, incredible music, right? So to me, it really is about fairness, but it's also about legalities, which again, I can't speak to, not being an attorney, but there definitely are some legalities and there are potential consequences when you're not careful with the sounds and the other types of media that you're using in your stream. So thank you, Julius, for all your kind notes and affirmations. I appreciate that. And yes, Virginia, I think I answered your question about where you can find music that does not have the copyright issues. So I've given you some resources. I try to have something new for you. Thank you. All right, all right. I see those fire emojis from earlier. Yes, yes, yes. Hi, Marcia and Miss Pat. I'm looking for questions. Let's see. YouTube media, other media websites, sure, correct. Okay, yes. So Bridget said the same thing. Facebook has an approved music library you can use for free. Absolutely. So if you go into Creator Studio, that's the easiest way for you to find it. It's a sound collection. That's what it's called, sound collection. And in YouTube, they also have an approved ready-made library as well. All right. Um, Irene said, oh my goodness, I know it feels like a lot. All right. Yes, Facebook did the same thing to me. So, Virginia went through the same thing. Facebook did the same thing to me after over years of having a video with music. Yeah, they sent an email recently about content music. Yes, so they can do it at any time. And most of the time, if they're pulling it, it's probably because it has something to do with music that you are using. So you'll want to check that. Awesome. All right, we'll write it down. Is that also coming to StreamYard? So that's a good question. Whoever asked this question about the library that Restream has, I don't know, but I can tell you that what I've noticed is that StreamYard and Restream tend to run neck and neck with different new things that are being added. There's a couple of things that are advantageous over at StreamYard that you don't see in Restream and vice versa. For instance, in StreamYard, you can use a green screen. In Restream, you can't yet, unless you're using another platform like OBS connected to your Restream. So yeah, I think that for now, I only see it in Restream. I did go look on StreamYard to see if they have their own music library, and they don't yet, but it doesn't mean they won't. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I agree with you, Julius. Hip hop is good, but more beats would be great. They have a lot of different channels, they call them here in the Restream library, but it's very limited and it sounds so low that you can hardly even hear it. So I bet with the feedback, which I'll definitely share my feedback, I know others will too, they'll probably fix that and get that corrected. And yes, Jeanette, it is Elgato Wave 3. So Elgato is exactly who I use to purchase my green screen. And if you go to my Amazon shopping page, if you go there, now I got to remember what that is. I'll find it for you. You'll find this in there. It's the Elgato Wave 3. So here's my actual shopping channel on Amazon. Let me make sure to put that in there for you, Jeanette, and that way you can shop to your heart's delight and you'll find it there. This is my Amazon store, and I have all my recommended gear in that store, including the Elgato Wave 3. Yes, Julius, it's just like a studio. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. I love it. I love it. And I'm so glad. Thanks again for going live. So much appreciated. I love music. So this information is right, pointing to where my insightful, driven life is going in business someday. Awesome. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Oh, Jeanette had an idea as well. Let me pop this up before we get ready to wrap. Use Audio Jungle, sometimes low cost. Audio Jungle does have some decent options. There's another channel too that I've used in the past that I can't think of right now because I don't like using it. But you really have to dive through it. It's sort of like going to a Ross Dress for Less. No offense to Ross, but you really have to go through all the racks to find something different that you really think you'll wear. And the same thing with Audio Jungle and some of the lower cost subscription-based music sources is you really have to kind of test it out and see, is this something I want to use? Now, Wave Video, if you're using Wave Video, they do have some music options that you can play around with for your intros and outros. So if you're just doing something short like that, think about whatever the design app is that you're using for your short videos probably has some sufficient sound collections in there that you can use. Great question. Bridget asked, when you use these music tools like Stream Beats, will it change your latency? I don't believe that it's done that way, but I think part of that is because if you're using that mixer, whether it's a physical mixer or the app software mixer, I think that kind of takes care of that. Now, if you're using it through OBS, Bridget, and because I know you're a techie and you kind of get this, there may be some latency you'll have to account for, and you'll need to go into the settings and fix that. So you'll really want to test that out. vMix and OBS, I've noticed that there is some like delay. So what we're talking about with latency is when you have like you're talking and people can see your lips moving, but the sound actually comes later. There's a mismatch, right? There's an effect on your latency. Now, with Restream building in the option for their streaming audio library, I think that's meant to try to help with that. And with the Wave link, I haven't seen that be a problem so far. And yes, Pat has an Epidemic Sound monthly plan. So there is a monthly plan in addition to having the $299 a year plan. Wave link software, yes. Okay, so Jeanette, I'll come into the group and make sure that I answer your question there. Your friend, a musician, just filed against someone for sampling their work on a website. It is serious. These people are serious because this is hard work. When they put in their time to create music, they want to be paid and compensated for their music. So you have to be careful that you're not overstepping and using someone else's content without their permission. When you are using, so this is a great question, and then we will make this one our last one. And yes, Miss Pat, $15 a month, that's awesome for Epidemic, for church. I wonder if there's a different fee for nonprofits. So that may be something to look into. How do you use the Facebook audio resource while using StreamYard? So what you do with the Facebook sound collection and the YouTube sound collection is you're going to go into their sound collection and download the music to your system, to your computer, and then pull it back up in to your platform. Okay. So for instance, with Restream, and actually with either one of these, here's a workaround to having software and extra stuff. You know how you get ready to share another screen? And when you get ready to share another screen, there's a little bitty checkbox. This is for both StreamYard and Restream. There's a little checkbox, usually on the bottom left corner, that says share audio. Like, do you want me to add audio too if I'm sharing? So what you could do is actually share the audio and have your screen, your Chrome browser, your Firefox browser, wherever that is, and you're playing music on that screen, right? And it's have your screen up. So like right now, I actually have two screens up, but you only see me. If I had a browser up, the window behind the scenes up with music playing, you may be able to hear that. That's something to experiment with. And I've seen some people do that too, but you have to check the box that says share my browser's audio. And then you play your browser's audio. It's not as clean. I have played with that a little bit and it didn't work every time. And it's not as clean as what you heard me play when I played through the Wavelink. So I still recommend doing the software mixer. Okay, awesome. And Miss Pat confirmed that $15 a month. She said, I signed up under my name and it can be set up for YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. It's not that expensive. So that may very well be the thing to do. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. And Twitch and podcasting as well. I love all the tips that everyone's sharing here in the comments too. And yes, Jeanette, I hate latency too. It happens. It can. It depends on all the different things you have coming up. So the most important thing is to keep things simple. Let me just recap really quickly in a few minutes what I've been saying this whole time. The most important thing is to keep things simple. So I love the idea and the concept of having music and adding stuff to your live stream to make it entertaining and engaging, right? But I also like the simplicity of being able to sit down, share the awesome content, engage with people in the comments, and move it along, right? Move it along and start and go serve people. So I love simplicity. And if there's any way that you can keep your videos, your live stream videos, simple but still entertaining and professional, then that should be ultimately the goal. But if you do want to add music, what I highly encourage you to do is to research more around copyright infringement. Make sure that you're using sources and libraries and collections that you know have already been pre-approved. And if you need to get support or have an assistant to help you with it, then certainly think about doing that too. Okay? All righty, folks. Well, I'm about to end this thing, but I absolutely appreciate everyone engaging. You rock too. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you so much for engaging tonight. And I am always on this show, on this channel, same time every week, Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. This is our Get Noticed with Video live broadcast. And I am just pleased to be able to serve you and to help you to simplify on-camera content because we want you to serve more people and to sell more of your services. So come back next week and I'll look forward to connecting with you then. Thank you so much for your time, and I will, and let me wish you the best and safe travels if you're traveling for Memorial Day. All right, take care.